Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Cakes from the Junkies on 106.7 The Fan here in Washington, D.C., and you're watching Ref the District.
I'm Sammy Silber from Washington Hockey Now, and you're watching Ref the District.
Here we go.
Greetings and salutations. Welcome to Ref the District. I'm Nathan. That's the Stoner. And today we have for you some Washington Capitals content. Do me a favor. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and comment. If you want to see more Caps, we need to see that engagement because we will be bringing you this season preview. We'll be bringing you a mid-season review and an end-of-season review. Of course, any breaking news, Stoner and I got you covered. But if you want even more Caps content, make sure you're getting in there and letting us know that that's what you want to see here on Ref the District. Stoner, It's been a long time, but it is here. The season is upon us. Yeah, Washington Capitals will be playing tomorrow night, as this is Tuesday. So actually, I think when this video goes out, it'll be tonight that they're playing. How excited are you for the Capitals season to begin?
Love Caps hockey. They've been at the top of their game pretty much for the last 10 years at least. So it's a fun game to watch when they're at the top of their game. And as long as you've got Ovi and you've got Oshie and Kuznetsov and all those guys that are coming back year after year, I always look forward to hockey season, and especially when I get to sit there on my couch, my recliner, and watch them just about every other night. Love this time of year. Super excited.
Got the full thing. They're one of the few teams that haven't been disappointing their fandom here in Washington. Maybe a little bit. I mean, obviously, it seems like it's been forever since the Stanley Cup, and they haven't won a playoff series since then, but they at least are competitive. And that's something that brings fans coming back and to the arena day in and day out. In fact, it brings one of our people here right now. Let's welcome to the stream Cakes from 107 The Fan. Appreciate you jumping on here with us on Ref the District. We're going to make you the big box here.
Yes, sir.
You're obviously a diehard Capitals fan, and you got to enjoy that victory, that victory a few years ago, the parade and everything. But it's been kind of disappointing since then with no playoff series victories. What do you expect from the Capitals this season?
It's a great question. I mean, I really don't know what to expect from this team. The expectations for them, like from hockey pundits and experts, they're kind of all over the map. Nobody's picking them to win the Metropolitan. Some people are picking them to be a wild card and not to make a deep playoff run. And that would jive with what's happened, as you mentioned, ever since they won the Stanley Cup. They've been unable to win a playoff series. And that's something that Caps fans, they gave the Caps a honeymoon grace period after winning the Stanley Cup in 2018. I mean, I've been a Caps fan since they started playing it at the Cap Center in Landover in the late 70s. My dad had original season tickets. I go way back with the team. And look, me and a bunch of other Caps fans waited 44 years for them to win the Stanley Cup. They finally did it in 2018. So once they got that, once they reached the mountaintop, I think I was like a lot of other fans. And I was like, look, man, we got the cup. We finally got what they've been striving for all these years. They've reached hockey nirvana. You want to get back, of course, but you give them that little bit of grace period afterwards. But now 4 years passed. Now Caps fans want another deep playoff run. And Peter Laviolette, he needs to win a couple playoff series to solidify his status here in Washington, D.C. I love him. I love his resume, but Reardon was run out of town for not winning playoff series. And the same thing's going to happen to Coach Laviolette if he's unable to get this team over the hump. They need to win at least one playoff series this season, I think, for him to really be on solid footing and solid ground here.
Yeah, and I was actually going to ask you that if on Laviolette, and are you guys going to have him on the show every week this year? Do you know yet?
We have not solidified that yet. We would love to. I mean, he's
really good.
He's very candid. We developed a rapport with him.
Yeah.
after last season. And I'll be honest, when he was hired, I knew he had a reputation of being like a hard ass, like
Yeah.
kind of stern. But like from the first time we had him on, he's been nothing but cool and gracious to us. I can't remember him ever really ever getting upset with us from any questions that we've asked. And we were lucky enough to get to meet him out at MedStar Iceplex during Caps Media Day face to face for the first time a couple weeks ago. And that was good to, finally, have that face to face meeting after talking to him so many times over the years. Hopefully we're able to do that again, because I think Caps fans like getting that insight from Coach Laviolette. Look forward to hearing from him about the daily pulse of what's going on with the team. So hopefully that happens again. Fingers are crossed over here.
Yeah.
Well, there have been some changes here in the offseason. Hopefully the coach gets to stay with the team much longer, but you're going to start to see a lot of turnover next season. This is an aging roster. One of the turnovers, though, this season was the goalie.
Yeah.
And are you expecting big things? They went from having two young guys, but inexperienced, to now, paying big money for a more seasoned guy. Are you excited as a fan to solidify that point? Because scoring doesn't seem the problem. You got one of the greatest goal scorers of all time, but you got to prevent the other team from scoring. So are you excited to have a new goalie back there?
I think Caps fans have to be really excited at what McClellan did as far as bringing in Darcy Kemper, who backstopped the Avs to the Stanley Cup last season. And late in the season, when Laviolette was on with us, he would mention it in multiple appearances that he was just waiting for either, Varley or Vitek, for one of them to really just rise up and kind of seize the job and take the job from the other goalie. And it never really happened. Like you would see each one of those guys go on little streaks, and then they would hit a speed bump, and then Laviolette was forced to, turn to the next guy. And I just don't think you can do that in the modern day NHL. You have to have that one guy who's going to start 55 or 60 games, maybe 62 or 65 games, something in that range, and then have a capable backup. But now Laviolette, he just knows he's going to ride Kemper as long as he's not injured. Lindgren's going to get them like when they play back-to-back games, he might get the game there. Or if Kemper just needs a maintenance day, Lindgren's going to go in for him. But it's no longer going to be, which guy is it? Who's hot right now? Who's playing a little bit better than the other guy? That's all out the window now. Now it's all on Kemper. He got the big deal. He's got the 5.25 AAV. He's making the big money. And with that big money comes big expectations. It's not going to be a 50-50 split. It's going to be like a 75-25 or an 80-20 split. And Kemper has to be the guy that they're signing him to be. Yeah.
And kind of speaking of money and the roster, there's a couple of guys that are going to be out for quite a while, big money guys. Mm-hmm. Of course, Tom Wilson, who tore his ACL in the I think it was in the playoffs.
Yeah,
right?
I think it was in the playoffs. Series. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's probably not going to be back until next year. I mean, not next season, but next calendar year.
Right.
And then Backstrom, I don't know is Backstrom even going to play at all this year? I mean, he's getting a ton of money, and I don't even know if he's going to play.
Yeah, I think the Backstrom injury is more worrisome because that hip injury that he's going through, I mean, it's super painful. Obviously, it's lingering. He hasn't been able to get past it. I'd be more worried about him than I would about Tom Wilson, especially because Backstrom's up there in years. He's not young anymore. He's clearly not in his 20s. But you mentioned the reinforcements that are coming in. Connor Brown comes in the trade with Ottawa. He gave 10 goals and 29 assists in 64 games with Ottawa last season. He should help fill that void that Tom Wilson is leaving with the knee injury. And I love the Dylan Strome signing. He's a guy that I thought would get bigger money and a longer term than he got because he's a young ascending player in the league, but he signs for 1 year, $3.5 million, almost had a 50-point season last year in Chicago. And he's a guy who can play that second line center and he can shift out to wing. He's a versatile guy, and he's a guy that should help fill that void with Backstrom's sideline. So I like those pieces coming in. It's just a matter of them getting assimilated with their teammates, what sort of chemistry they build with their line mates. But I think McClellan did a good job, pretty much the best job he could do, trying to fill in two of those top 6 forward spots. Those are some pretty big gaping holes that were left by those injuries.
Hey, Nathan, Cakes did his homework. Man,
Yeah,
he's all prepped and ready to go. He's got
Come on, man.
he's got it all.
See, they dropped the puck tonight.
That's right.
You have to be ready, man.
Yeah.
Nice.
Now,
Yeah, nice work.
You mentioned a couple of the people that they've brought in. How excited are you about some of the homegrown young talent that they have here on the roster?
Yeah, it's always good to see some of the younger guys get worked in, especially because if you look at this roster, it's for the 3rd straight year, it's the oldest roster in the NHL. So you're going to need some of these younger talents to rise up and start taking some ice time and start taking some shifts to help out the older guys, to help out the older guard. I mean, look, we all love Ovi and Oshie and Kuzi and Backstrom, but those guys are not going to play forever. And I think that's part of the reason why McClellan and Ted Leonsis and the ownership, I think that's why they spent the big money on Darcy Kemper, because they're looking at Ovi like, what do we have? Maybe 3 years until obviously he's going to break Gretzky's record. We all know that. I mean, unless he suffers some sort of catastrophic injury where he can't play ice hockey ever again, he's going to break Gretzky's record.
How many games do you think it's going to take?
I'm not sure how many games it's going to take, but I know he's obviously going to break the record.
Yeah.
But the window is, it's closing. And it's sad for people that love watching Ovi throughout his entire career arc. And you guys obviously have done it. I've done it. But at some point, it's going to come to an end. And that's why they spent the money on Kemper, because they didn't want the flip-flopping goalies situation. They need stability in that spot. So, yeah, you definitely need the Connor McMichaels guys of that ilk to raise their level of play, because sadly, the older guys, the Oshies and the Ovies, they're not going to be here forever. And the franchise goes on even without Ovi and without Backstrom. We have to have that young talent that's ready to take that next step. So, yeah, I think this is a critical development year for some of those guys, because these older guys, they're going to need some rest here and there throughout the grind of an NHL season. And hopefully those younger guys can provide that.
Yeah. And we'd be remiss if we didn't mention, we love the shirt that you're wearing. Pacers Running. They're a big sponsor of our show as well. And I know
you and Chris Farley. Yeah, it's a little wrinkly. I'm sorry about that, but
it's a great shirt though.
It means it's well loved.
Love Pacers, man. They're amazing. They're great.
They are awesome. I don't know. You kind of mentioned him a little bit, but I don't know anything about this backup goalie, this Charlie Lindgren. Charles. I just think maybe
doesn't have a lot of NHL experience, just 29 games in the big leagues spread out over 6 seasons. A lot of time in the AHL. Look, he's a cheap piece to back up Darcy Kemper. We know the Caps have been up against the salary cap these last few seasons. So when you spend the 5.25 on Kemper, there's not that much left to go around to the backup. So, but again, you're not relying on Lindgren to play a ton of games and a ton of minutes.
Yeah.
He just has to spell Kemper when he needs it, during the long road trips, the back-to-backs. I'll be honest, I've never seen the guy play live in person. I just hope that he can, do an admirable backup job when he's called upon, when his number's called.
Cake, since you did your homework, the Caps did lose or had to make some cuts, and those cuts were picked up by other teams. Is there anybody who you were surprised the Caps didn't keep on the final roster and that maybe you were sad to see go?
I'm going to probably butcher his name. Is it Fjallby?
Yeah, Fjallby. Yep.
That's probably the one. Plus, he has really great dreamy hair too.
Right, jealous.
Yeah, right. I'm jealous of his flow. I mean, even for hockey players with all the style and the flow that they have, his is pretty extraordinary. But look, sometimes you have to make those tough sacrifices to get down to your final number, to get down to your final roster number. Sometimes these guys just aren't quite ready, to contribute at this level, and they either have to be optioned down to the minors or let go. So look, I'm sure McClellan, he has to make these tough decisions all the time. But he's put together the best roster for him and for Laviolette going forward, and hopefully they can get a quick start. They've got games against some relative bottom feeders after the first two, after the Boston and Toronto games. I think 7 of the next 10 or 7 of the next 11 are against teams that didn't qualify for the playoffs last season. So the early schedule, at least, is kind of set up for the Caps to have a nice start. So, like, let's hope that happens.
And it's my last question for you, Cakes. And like you said, you've been here for, the run that they're on now and all those years before that. How lucky are we as fans that we have had this time with Ovi and Backstrom and all these other guys? Carlson is included in that. Guys like that, and Kuznetsov. How lucky are we that we've had an opportunity to watch what I've heard you say it, and I think we all agree, the greatest athlete to ever play in this city, in Alex Ovechkin. And we can't take it for granted at this point when he's only got a few years left.
No, I'm so happy that I've been able to watch his entire career from start to finish, and the collection of talent that you talked about: Backstrom, Carlson, Holtby, who's no longer here, but was just key critical piece to helping to win the 2018 Stanley Cup. Yeah, it's been amazing to watch these guys, grow up not only on the ice but off the ice. Like I remember seeing Ovi, as this kind of goofy kid with a bad haircut in the old black jerseys with this logo on the front, on I think either the sleeve or the front, way back in the day. And now, he's got the gray hair, he's got kids, he's married, you see these guys, like, not only on the ice but off the ice, the way they're going through different stages of life. It's pretty amazing to see how these guys have grown up, how they've grown together, how close they've gotten over the years, from all the battles that they've had with each other. And I definitely agree with what you said, that Alex Ovechkin is the greatest athlete that will ever play any sport in Washington, D.C. And I don't think that's me being, with a spicy hot take. He's going to be I think he's already the greatest goal scorer, because he's scoring his goals in an era where it's nearly impossible to score goals compared to what Wayne Gretzky did. Now, I'm not trying to take anything away from Wayne Gretzky, obviously greatest player of all time. But if Ovi was playing in his era, his numbers would be obscene. Right. So I already consider Ovi, now I'm biased because I'm a Caps fan, I already consider him the greatest goal scorer of all time. He's going to eventually be the greatest goal scorer of all time. And yeah, I hope everybody just appreciates whenever they get a chance to go down to Capital One, or if they go on the road to watch the Caps play. Hey, you're watching the greatest goal scorer in NHL history. You're never going to see somebody like this ever again. He's the greatest. That's just what he does. He's born to score goals. And we're just lucky enough that he's done it throughout his career in a Caps sweater.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing when you're talking about like the greatest athlete for DC. Some people are going to bring up Michael Jordan playing for the Wizards, but this is somebody that we can call, right?
Yeah, I mean, that was just Michael Jordan at toward the end. Yeah. I don't even consider that.
Yeah, I mean, he was just it was tail end of his career. He's not really like that. Ovi has been with Washington from the start. We've seen the greatness. He paid us. It all paid off with the championship. Hopefully they'll get back there. Before we let you go, Cakes, any bold predictions for this season you wanna lay upon us?
Don't give us a Matt Valdez, somebody's gonna die on the ice sort of bold prediction.
Bold predictions for the Caps. I wasn't expecting this, but I can give you one. Caps finishes a top 3 seed in the Metropolitan. I think that's kind of bold because I don't see anybody picking the Caps to win the Metropolitan. And if Ovi stays healthy like he generally does, he's going to score 45 or 50 goals. And I like the pieces that got brought in. I like Strome. I like Connor Brown. You add Tom Wilson to that mix once the calendar turns to 2023. And if Kemper is the real deal, and if then I think this team could surprise some people. And the pressure's on Laviolette. He needs to get this team past the first round of the playoffs. And hopefully, look, when the Caps won the Stanley Cup in 2018, they weren't on anybody's radar. Nobody was picking them to make a deep run. Now, I'm not saying there's going to be a cup run here, but I think the Caps
not getting that bold.
Not quite that bold. I would like to see it happen, but I'm not ready to make that bold of a prediction. But my bold prediction, top 3 in the Metro. I think that works.
Fair enough.
Right. Do they win a playoff series in that? You know, is that something that they can get in there, or is that
they better?
I don't want to jinx my boys, but I'm going to give the Caps a playoff series win.
There you go.
Burn this tape later if they get knocked out in the first round.
All
this
right.
never happened.
We won't send it to hot. What is that? The
freezing cold takes.
Yeah, freezing cold takes.
Keep that one on the cutting room floor for me.
All right.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate you jumping on here. This is Cakes from 106.7 The Fan, the Junkies. Make sure you tune in to them every weekday morning. And of course, he's also got his MGM Poker Ambo up there. You want to talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I am the MGM National Harbor. Hold on, let me say that again. MGM National Harbor Poker Room Ambassador. If you love poker, go out and check out the Poker Room. And don't forget, I host the Cakes Classic monthly event. It's the first Wednesday of every month. It's a $300 no limit hold'em tournament. If you knock me out, you get $300. That's my bounty. If you knock anybody else out, you get $50. If you knock out a special guest, you get $150. And maybe I'll have to give you guys an invite to be special guests at some point. You guys can come out. I'll free roll you, play some poker, hang out.
Oh yeah.
What do you think?
The district night? That would be awesome.
We can do that. Let's I'll have my people reach out to your people and we will make that happen.
All right. Our people are sitting right here.
Okay.
This is our
people right here too.
That's right.
All right. Sounds good. We'll definitely make it happen. Thanks, Cakes, for jumping on. We have Sammy Silber from Washington Hockey Now, Sporting News, NBC Sports coming up. But first, a message from our sponsor, Manscaped.
Ref the District is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best at below-the-waist grooming. Their products are precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped's Performance Package is the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Go to manscaped.com and use the code REF, R-E-F, to get 20% off and free shipping on your next order at manscaped.com. All right, welcome back to Ref the District and our 2022 Capitals season preview. Thanks once again for Johnny Cakes Auville from 106.7 The Fans, the Junkies, for coming in and talking to us a little bit. Nathan had to run, so here I am by myself. I'm excited about our next guest that we're going to talk to, and that is Sammy Silber, who covers the Capitals for Washington Hockey Now. Sammy, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm excited.
And we have to call you a friend of the show now. Yeah. I think this is like your fourth. It's either your third or your fourth appearance on the show.
Yeah.
So we're friends now, right?
Oh my goodness, yeah. It's like my favorite pod to be on. Are you kidding? I love
awesome.
It. Oh yeah.
So hockey season's getting ready to start, obviously. What did you do all summer when you weren't covering the Caps? Were you playing? You're like a hockey player, right? So you're doing some playing, and you do any traveling, anything like that?
No. So I worked. Little Bear, stop digging. Sorry.
He's part of he's a part of the show as well.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah. So I'll take you as I get her.
Yeah.
No, I basically had like a little staycation. Played some hockey. I do play hockey. I'm a right winger, but I play on the left usually. Nice and comfortable.
Why do you play on the left if you're a right winger? What's up with that?
So I shoot right. And then we needed like a left wing one game, so they were like, "You're going on left," and I was like, "Okay." I was like, I'm a versatile player. I'll play anywhere, and
yeah.
And they wanted me to go on left, and I went, and and I naturally just really liked it as I get treats to shut my dog up.
Yeah.
Just really liked it and thought it really went well. And I play on the left and push people around, and I haven't finished with more penalty minutes than points this season. So that was that.
And how did your team do?
Oh, we got out first round of playoffs, and it didn't end pretty. But now I'm coaching. I'm a coach now, and
Oh, cool.
so doing that during the season, and then otherwise just come get it. Just playing with the baby also.
Yeah.
Seeing family and friends. So I'm doing good. I hope you guys had a good summer too.
Yeah, absolutely. So speaking of first round exits, we'll get right into the Capitals and their 2 straight. Is it 2 straight or 3 straight?
It's
3
4.
straight?
It's 4.
4 straight first round exits?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So how is this team going to kind of get away from that this year? Hopefully, what's the plan?
Yeah, no, I mean it's tough. I think that it's something that they have in the back of their heads. I mean, Pierre Laviolette's probably best this morning. Coming into a new season, last year doesn't matter. The last 5 years don't matter. The next year doesn't even matter. So I think coming in with the clean slate is huge. And then they made some significant upgrades this offseason. You see a guy like Darcy Kemper come in and a backup like Charlie Lindgren come in. And, you make some tweaks on the blue line. You bring in a couple good forwards like Dylan Strome and you see some of the prospects step up too. I'm sure we'll get to those. And later in the podcast, I'm not just going to answer it all in one big question. But, I mean, that Mac got to work this offseason, and yeah. I think that core, wants to win now, and there's a lot of challenges, injuries, and the time is now, the window is closing. So I think that this is, from what I've seen so far through camp, this is a team that wants to win, has a good mentality, and knows that the standard can't be the first round exits.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes. But I like the look of this team. I'll say that.
Okay, good. But you mentioned prospects, some of the prospects. One of the maybe surprises that you wrote quite a bit about was the emergence of Alexi Protas, right? He came into camp putting on like 15 pounds of just pure muscle. He's already a big kid anyway, and it seems to have helped him. He made the squad. Is he projected right now, the way things stand, as like a second liner?
So it's tough. I mean, with Alexi had a great camp. He right from the get-go, he had a very good summer, worked on skating, add the strength, but he also worked on skating. So, he looked much faster. He looked more confident. He was getting to the net. He was getting to the right places. And right now, penciled in to start the season, he's on the second line playing with Dylan Strome and Anthony Mantha, which brings a lot of size, right? But you're missing. It's strange because with injuries, you have a lot of people to fill in for. You're missing Willie. You can't replace the Tom Wilson, so you're missing size on your top 6. You're missing a guy like Backstrom, who's a catalyst on that second line, catalyst on the power play, and then you're missing, Hags, just underwent that hip surgery, so you're missing a penalty killer. There's a lot of roles to fill, and Alexi is somebody who can play multiple roles. He's somebody who's like, I'm okay on wing, I'm okay at center, I'm okay. He's even joking. He's like, I'll strap on the pads if you need, but he can play penalty kill. He can, play PP2 if he needs. He can play even strength. So right now he's top 6. And honestly, a lot of it depends on the chemistry too, right? I mean, he seems to connect. That line has a lot of size and a lot of speed. So I think if they connect, we can expect him, to stick around for a bit, maybe even in a role like that. But it all depends on the chemistry of the lines, because things can change overnight. If a guy like Marcus Johansson works better on the get off the coffee table. If a guy like Marcus works better on the second line, they might bump him up there, see Protas slip to the third, get McMichael some time, they swap in. But right now, with the preseason he's had, if he keeps that up, expect him, in that top 6 and to fight to stay there for a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And with his emergence, that comes at the expense of other guys that have contributed to this team in the past.
Right.
a couple of guys who got released or waived, which was Brett Leeson, and I never say his name.
Axel Janssen Fjolby.
Fjolby, that's right. And they were picked up by another team. What's the difference between, say, him getting waived or those two guys getting waived and picked up? Are there other guys that can be waived that cannot be picked up? Or if you get cut, anybody has a shot at taking you?
If you go on the wire, any team can claim you.
Yeah.
There's guys who are waiver exempt, like Protoss, like McLean,
Okay.
who are just starting. But if you go on waivers, I mean, it's a free for all. Like we saw Lucas clear, which I think is great for the organization. You know, it's always tough when you lose prospects, especially guys like AJF and Leeson, who made that jump last year. And I think the Caps, you know, also re-signed Leeson this offseason. So a couple tough losses, but I mean, that's the business, right? And and that's what, you know, I wrote about, I believe today is Wednesday, so I believe this was Monday when they got picked up. That, you know, it's part of the business, and to get down to the 23, you have to make hard cuts, but the guys who are up there now earned those spots, you know, and they showed, like, I played well enough to earn a spot here. You cannot fit more. And sometimes waivers is part of the business, and anybody can get picked up. So, you know, and it's probably great for the players too. I mean, it can be scary to leave and sad to leave, but you get a whole new opportunity with an organization that'll allow you more playing time, allow you to fit in where maybe you couldn't have fit in with the organization. So we'll see.
And is that why McMichael did not get put on waivers, because he no longer has any exemptions left?
He is waiver exempt.
Oh, he is.
So he would, if they wanted to assign him, they would send him down to Hershey. But I mean, he had a good camp. He looked good, I think. Yeah. And when you're a rookie, you played a whole rookie season last year. You're coming into a sophomore year. You're gonna, you know, you're not gonna be sent to Hershey. You're past that.
Okay.
So everybody who's there now, Laviolette, liked their camp. And unfortunately, the guys who got cut, it was a hard decision, but ultimately one that was made. And that's what happened.
So the big offseason acquisition, of course, Darcy Kemper, comes over from the Avalanche, Stanley Cup champion, lots of money, right? How has he looked so far in camp?
He's looked good. I think Darcy, first of all, he's a great guy. He, you know, fantastic. Both goaltenders are fantastic people. Love talking to Darcy. Love talking to, they call him Chucky. You know, it's great. Here you go. Please go over there. Anyway, no, he's great. And saying that a lot of his teammates say he's a very calm guy. He brings a very calming presence, and that's something that you always want, but he also brings that winning culture. He just won a cup, but I think the biggest thing he brings is his consistency. I mean, you see over the past 5 seasons, he's led the league among goalies with 150 games played, you know, in save percentage with a .921. Last season, he had a .921. He covers a lot of the net. He makes the saves he's supposed to make. And in his first 3 preseason games, you know, he faced a heavy workload, especially in that last one. I think he faced 39 shots, almost 40, and, you know, only let 3 go. And the 3 he let go, a lot of it was, you know, defensive missed assignments. So he's looked excellent. I mean, he's moving really well. He's in high spirits. He's in shape. He said he's kept in shape. He was never really out of shape this summer. You don't really have time to be. Yeah. And Charlie's great too. He looks great. He looks confident, and he's going to be a good backup. So, and the guy, everybody loves him in the room. So
that's key. Well, we can't let you get out of here without talking about, you know, when you're talking about the Caps, you have to talk about Alex Ovechkin. He's 36. Is that right?
37.
He's 37 years old. And at 36, he had 50 goals again. Yeah. Does he look like he's still in that same zone that he always has been?
Yeah. I mean, we talked to him this morning, and the guy looks great. He came into camp in great shape. He had a good skate test, which says a lot if you're 37 and you're still, you know, crushing your skate test. That booming shot is still there. He had the, you know, huge power play goal last game, and he can rip it. He's still, in the games that he did play this preseason, a lot of them, were the rookies suiting up. But when he did draw and you see that booming shot, you see him lead the team in shots, lead the team in attempts, he's not shying away from throwing that weight around. And, he has rejuvenated Kuznetsov at center, and he has Connor Brown now on that, right wing to fill in for Willie. And, Brown's tenacious on pucks. He can steal pucks. He can battle. He can, get it to Ovi, and Ovi battles too. So I see him doing well, and especially with Stromer on the power play. I think that was a great addition this offseason. I think it was probably one of the most underrated moves of the offseason was the signing of Dylan Strome. He's looked phenomenal. And I think having a guy like that down low or on the goal line or even half wall, if he ends up, there for some reason that Kuzi's not. He's looked really good. So I think their connection, is going to be great. And he's still smiling Ovi, still the big man, still rocking. So the attitude's there, the conditioning's there. So
awesome.
I think they look good.
All right. So I mean, we have to ask you, the cheesy question. What's your prediction? What how do you think they'll fare at the end of the day?
It's so funny because I did predictions like this morning with like the media people, but
yeah,
I'm not good at predictions.
And are you already changing your mind after what you said this morning?
No, I'm trying to remember what I wrote. I think for Ovechkin, I had him finishing with 48 goals.
Wow.
I think
amazing.
Yeah, so I think he finishes around 40. I mean, I'm never going to rule out. You never bet against the big man.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. It's honestly it's an honor to be around a guy like that and to watch him. And to be close to seeing something so historic. So he wants it. He wants it bad, and he's shown nothing that he can't to say otherwise. So I think he's going to have a good season. And I can see Stromer having a great season too. I think that Arizona and Chicago, weren't the best fits for him. weren't exactly, winning places and weren't places that really gave him the responsibility or the, So I think when he ends up here, are you done? I think as he ends up here, sorry, I was talking to her, not you guys. I was like, are you done? Likes to dig in the furniture. So I think, yeah, I mean, I think that he's rejuvenated, and I think he wants to be here, and he's showing, everything that I think that, Laviolette wants to see. And as for how the team will do, if that's what asked to,
for sure.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think we saw a lot of changes. I think like we kind of talked about earlier in the episode was, the goaltending. I think that's the biggest area that was the biggest area. Sammy and Vitek, they did what they could, right? They're two young goaltenders, but at the same time, the consistency and at the end of the day, the consistency needs to be there, right? The wins need to be there. The results need to be there. Sorry, she's driving me crazy.
Yeah, no worries.
The results need to be there. Everything needs to be there, and those pieces need to come together. And I think with the goaltending situation, it's not viable to ride two young guys and to go with the hot hand. You can do it for so long. But there's going to be a time where both aren't hot or one of them's hurt or, so I think bringing in a guy like Darcy is going to be a huge help. And then you have that stability in that too with Charlie, he's shown what he can do. And then, the blue line still looks intact. So having that consistency and trying to build that chemistry on the blue line should help. And, all the forward additions, look really good so far. So I think if they can keep up that speed and have that consistency in net, I think good things will happen for this team. I've seen a lot of pessimism being like, oh, they're not going to make it or another wild card year. And I don't think that, I really don't think that they go back to the wild card too. I really don't think that they go back to the, bottom of the barrel. I don't see it. This team still has a winning pedigree. They've only gotten better. I don't think that they've done anything to show that they've gotten worse. And Lavi's, they love Laviolette. And he's a great guy, great coach. So I see good things for this team. as my
Fantastic.
water.
Sammy, thank you for taking the time to talk with, I say us, even though it's just me sitting here right now.
No, I want to make it clear before I leave that I had to postpone a couple times. Shout out to my mom. So I had to hang out with the mom, and then the metro, rang late. So these guys were awesome with the flexibility, and I'm happy they still want to be friends with me. And and hopefully I'll be back at some point this season. But I think good things are in store for Washington, and I'm an optimist, but it's no fun to be the negative Nancy or the Debbie Downer.
That's right. That's Sammy Silber. Check her out on Twitter at Sammy Silber, SILB as in boy, ER.
Yeah.
And the youngin there in the shot as well.
Yeah. Sorry.
And also check her out on Washington Hockey Now, where she covers the Caps. Yeah. And again, thank you earlier to Johnny Cakes Auville from 106.7 The Fan Sports Junkies. And to everybody for watching this, checking us out, hit that like, subscribe button. We'd appreciate it. And as always, be a fan.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for watching us here on Ref the District. While you're at it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Check out one of these other videos here as well. We create lots of great content. Of course, we're live every Wednesday at 7:30. Things get pretty heated there as well. Until next time, be a fan.